about what your profession is facing when you've got Coach Etzel being fired at Maryland mid-season, Coach Sarkisian dealing with an alcohol problem, which I wonder why not more coaches have this. You were taken to a level of emotion Saturday night publicly that I've never seen you, and now you have Coach Spurrier, who obviously, what's going on in college football with coaches? Is the pressure that strong?
I mean, I didn't have a level of emotion to pressure. I just had a level of emotion for a stupid question. I mean, and I really was not prepared for that. There's a few more things I would have liked to have said if I'd have been really prepared for that. But, you know, I mean, I had nothing to do. I was happy. I'm happy. We just won a huge game and played great. I just was, frustrated. But, I think that there's pressure in anything. I mean, I don't look at it that way. I mean, I just, everybody has to. I mean, the game of football, the business of college football, from a coaching standpoint, it's changed, and I think there's more pressure on, the ADs or whatever, and it's a shame to see what's going on, because I mean it's hard. It's hard to win. I tell that people it's really hard to win a game, much less consistently year in and year out to be able to sustain that. It's very difficult, and so, but I don't see it as pressure. I mean, me personally. I mean, I'm paid a lot of money to do a job that I love to do. I mean, I love what I do, and I understand the business of it. I understand that it's a game of performance. I've never really focused on that that aspect of it. I just I lean on my faith, and that's just what I try to stay grounded in that. And so I don't get too high or get too low. And whether we've had a good game or bad game, I just give it all to the good Lord, to be honest with you. And when it's time for me to move on, I know He's got something else in store for me. That's just how I deal with things. And I can't speak for other people and all that type of stuff. But as far as the world of college football, it's certainly more and more of an issue now, where you're seeing coaches fired after 2 games. The same thing in pro football, and that's just the world we're in. And I think if you look, like I said, the amount of money and things like that. It puts more pressure on everybody, but I don't live my life that way. I really don't. My pressure is on being a good husband, good father, keeping balance in my life, and not getting sucked up into the world. That's the pressure for me.
Did you sense in your conversation a relief? I mean, what was the nature of?
Oh, I'm not going to get into our conversation with Coach Spurrier. I mean, he'll have a chance to address the media today at whenever their time is. But we had a great conversation, and again, he'll say what he wants to say, and but it was just friendly conversation, just 2 guys with good respect for each other, just talking about the day.
Firsthand.
You initiated the call?
Yeah, I called him this morning, and he called me back.
Firsthand kind of rivalries that there are in college football, Alabama, Auburn. Do you think Coach Spurrier had as big an impact on anybody on taking this Clemson-South Carolina rivalry and taking it to another level?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I'm not. This isn't a negative to South Carolina. I mean, it's just a reality. South Carolina's program. I mean, all you got to do is just look at the history and the facts. I mean, they only had like one 10-win season in 100-something years before Coach Spurrier. And so, this game nationally was not that big a deal. And that people would ask me all the time, what's the difference between Alabama, Auburn, and the Clemson, South Carolina? And I'm like, well, not a lot. Everybody, they hate each other. It's, the biggest difference is they're not in the same conference. And, Alabama, Auburn, same conference, same division. But Alabama, Auburn nationally always had bigger implications. But the rivalry part, shoot, I mean, it's the same to me. It's very, very much the same. And but with what Coach Spurrier did at South Carolina, I mean, I guess I'm the fortunate one to be at Clemson during the greatest run in the history of the school. But he took them to, like I said, to a level that they've never been. And so, I mean, how many top 10 matchups have you had in Clemson, South Carolina game? Clemson historically has always been, the better team, if you will, historically. And there's been some runs either way along the way, but pretty much heavy Clemson, and even from a ranking standpoint. And so to have the games that we've had, top 10 matchup, or whatever that was a couple years ago, was that the first time ever?
Yeah, 2013.
First time ever to have, and so now all of a sudden the national implications of that game changed drastically, and then certainly with the personality of Coach Spurrier and the success that he's had in his career, I don't think there's any question it brought a much more of a national audience to this rivalry, and now people, I think, are much more aware of it.
What did winning that game in 2008 when you were the interim and you beat South Carolina, the team beat South Carolina, and Steve Spurrier was the head coach, what did that do for your career?
I mean, it kept me at Clemson. I mean, it's really that simple. I have no idea where I'd be. I'd be somewhere, like I said, but it kept, I mean, I don't know that I probably wouldn't have got the job. But it kept me at Clemson and just kind of made it hard. I think Terry Don, was hoping that I could get the job, but it made it easy for them to give me a chance. It made it hard for them not to give me an opportunity at that point. But I don't know if I'd have gotten the job. Probably wouldn't have. So, but again, I didn't feel pressure in that game or anything like that. I had a total peace. That, again, I mean, regardless of whether I got the job or not, I had a total piece of what we've been able to do with that team and with those young men on that team. And I knew that if the door closed here, that the good Lord was going to open up one somewhere else. And so I wasn't anxious or anything like that. But it worked out.
You've been in that seat before, so what are the primary challenges that face an interim coach when he takes over, say, midseason?
Oh man, there's a lot of challenges because you go from wearing one hat to now you're wearing about 30 hats, and it's just really hard to prepare for that. And maybe I don't know, but I mean I had no inclination at all, zero, until Tommy Bowden walks in the staff room and says, "Hey, I'm stepping aside here," and the AD walks in and says, "You're the head coach, and see me in 5 minutes." I mean, I didn't have a clue, and so maybe I don't know. Maybe this has been coming up. Maybe they've been talking about this. Maybe Sean has been able to kind of think about it for a few days or a week. I have no idea, but it's just a huge transition. It's very difficult because first of all, you got a lot of emotion involved. I mean, there's a ton of emotion. I mean, you've got a lot of factions. There's different groups, and you got a whole football team that did not come there for you to be their head coach, and yet, you got to push all that aside, and you got to get everybody to understand that it's bigger than any one person. And at the end of the day, you have an opportunity to, regardless of what the scoreboard is, you have an opportunity to send a message, that you're not going to quit, that you're gonna stand up and compete and do what's best for your school and your program. Those seniors, they deserve an opportunity to have the best chance to finish as strong as possible. And if you're you got to get that group to not check out. That group's got to stay engaged. And then you got to try to create some positivity and some energy and try to rally the troops. I mean, that's the biggest thing, and it's a very difficult thing to do. Again, you got a whole staff that, you go from one of them to now the leader of them, and there's a lot of dynamics involved there. But, it's tough. It's tough. It really is.
There are always extenuating circumstances, but just the notion, I mean, Coach Bowden did it, Coach Spurrier did it, of walking away in the middle of the season after you've been preaching, don't quit during game, give it your best every time you go out, play hard, coach hard, and yet, oh, and by the way, I'll see you down the road. I mean, there's that side of it too. I mean, we shouldn't gloss that over.
Yeah, well, I think that people are going to have their opinions, and everybody's entitled to their opinion on whatever they think. But at the end of the day, everybody has to make their own decisions and live with that decision and do what you think is right in the moment. And sometimes what you think is right, other people vehemently think is wrong. So that just kind of comes with the territory. But I'm not going to sit here and try to put myself in those shoes and judge Coach Spurrier or anything like that. He's got a long legacy, and he's 70 years old. I'm gonna have to coach till 71 so I can one up him. I got a long way to go, man. So I don't have any anything else to regard to that. I mean, people are going to have their opinions one way or another, regardless of what he would have done.
Dabo, I know you kind of alluded to it, the back and forth that you and Spurrier sometimes had. Was that always kind of still a mutual respect between you two, building up the rivalry, answering each other? Was there, or did it get a little tense there in the heat of the rivalry? There
were probably some tense times. I mean, it's one of those things that I just never really been a part of that, but again, that's just kind of who he is. He's just kind of been that way his whole career, and you never know what he's going to say. He'd say something like, "I can't believe he said that," and then I'd make a comment back, and it just. But then he, and I think I mentioned this, but he'd always be the first one. He would call me from time to time and reach out, and he's reached out a couple times to offer me a little bit of encouragement. He called me a couple years ago when we got beat down there in Columbia, and just dominated the game and somehow lose the game, and that he called me after that game. That's exactly what he said. He said, "Man, y'all just kicked our butt. Just couldn't hang on the football." And then he called me after the Georgia game last year. And just. So I mean, listen, he's always there's that side of him, I think, a persona that people see, and he is who he is, and sometimes he probably says things that like all of us, that maybe you wish you hadn't said, or maybe said in a different way, and it never to a point where I don't have respect for him or vice versa.
As a fan, is there one quote or Spurrierism that really stands out to you that he's had over the years?
Oh man, he's had a bunch of them. Again, I go way back. All my years was recruiting at Alabama against Coach Spurrier, the head coach at Florida, when they were rolling. It was always a very difficult challenge, but he's had a ton of them. You can name it, all the different schools, but. Probably the funniest one to me is I went up to ESPN. I think I was at ESPN. Or maybe in ACC Media Days. I don't remember. But somebody asked me, where they were asking me about me and Coach Spurrier, and and again, I say what's on my mind. I don't, I never really know what's going to pop into my head. But I just said, what, we get along, we're fine, we're just different. He's from Mars, I'm from Pluto, and I said, we're just different in ways, and it was just a really I mean, easy comment. It wasn't anything. And next thing I know, it's all over ESPN that he's from Mars and I'm from Pluto and all this stuff. And then he comes back and he says, I don't think Dabo knows that Pluto ain't a planet anymore. And so I'm like, well, dadgum, it was a planet when I was in Alabama. I missed that newsflash somewhere along the way. And then lo and behold, we finally beat them suckers last year, and guess what has happened? Pluto has made a comeback. Pluto is now a planet once again. And so, I mean, it's unbelievable. It was in the USA Today. I told Tim, I said, Tim, look at this. Pluto is a planet. So, you know, he's just, you know, one of the best when it comes to, I guess, picking up on things that maybe somebody says and having some fun with it. But again, he's one of those guys that has always said what's on his mind. But I think he's always tried to do things the right way. You know, I've never known him as a cheater. You know, all the way back to Florida, I always felt like Coach Spurrier tried to do things the right way.
Dabo, it's so much about college football, it's about offensive innovation now all over the place. How much do you think he contributed to that early when he was doing it when nobody else was?
A ton. I remember vividly him getting putting Warfare in the shotgun. I believe it was 96 when we played them, and you know, he went, I think, all shotgun. That was like, I mean, you know, if you went in the shotgun back in the early 90s, it was like you were getting ready to punt the ball or something. I mean, it was just a totally different deal. And you know, the way they threw the ball around and started attacking people, and you know, not beating your head up against the wall in 7 and 8 and 9 man boxes, and you know, living off the play action in the boots and the nakeds. He really changed it when he started going 3 and 4 wides, throwing the ball down the field, again getting in the shotgun, the shovel passes and all that type of stuff, the screen game. There's no question he changed the way people started thinking offensively, and forced defenses to have to change as well.
I wanted to ask you about Christian Wilkins, a guy from Massachusetts. Just how do you think that he has come along this year as someone, a freshman who's playing in a rotation? I
mean, he's special, special talent, and a great person. Just enjoying immensely his Clemson experience. Great practice habits, you know, just one of those guys, very, very cerebral player, easy to coach, and, you know, just gifted as a, you know, with his just football ability. So just going to get better and better. It's doing great.
What has Zach brought to this team beyond the statistics and that kind of thing?
Well, Zach's a leader. You know, Zach's a guy that these guys have great respect for because of, you know, all that he's fought through. I mean, he's had some really tough injuries, and our players have seen the best of Zach. And they know where, I mean, he was going to be our starter last year, and all of a sudden he's out. And he had just had such, I mean, he was like, okay, man, he's ready. And, you know, so, but he's always just had such a great attitude, and he's always just kept going, you know, and that's, you know, that's a great example for his teammates. He's an inspiration to his teammates. But what people don't know about Zach is because he's, you know, kind of a quiet guy, I guess, but he's one of the best leaders we have on this football team. Very, very smart, great student, has a vision for what he wants to be in the future, what he wants to accomplish outside of football. He's a thinker. But you know, we sit in our leadership meetings and things like that, and the comments that he makes, even when he was hurt and couldn't play, you know, he was one of the best leaders that we had on this team in challenging his teammates. So Zach Brooks is one of those guys that, you know, obviously you love what you're seeing. You know, he's finally, you know, he missed most of camp. He's finally healthy, and he's gotten his confidence back, and you know, hopefully we can just continue to see him blossom and do some great things and get some fruits of his labor that he's put in, you know, over his time here. But he's one of those guys that is going to be incredibly successful in life. I mean, just to sit down and have a conversation with him, you'll figure that out pretty quick.
You talked about changing the culture when you took over 7 years ago. Looking back, what point in time can you look at or look to and say that's when it happened, when things really started to change here?
2010. That's when I knew. And the reason I knew is because of how our team responded that year. The first year we come out and win the division and play in the championship game, and this is just going to be great. We're going to do this every year right out of the gate, and win the bowl game and all that type of stuff. But 2010, we were so good on defense that year, and just we were kind of transitioning. We lost Spiller, lost Ford, lost Palmer. We were transitioning at quarterback there, KP, and we just didn't have some of the playmakers. We had them coming, had most of those guys committed coming in here for that 2011 group, which really kind of got us back going. But how our guys competed that year, what I saw in the locker room, what I saw in this room, what I saw on the practice field. And in fact, I made that statement that year. I saw a team that never quit. I saw a team that never splintered, a team that never pointed fingers. And we had 5 losses by 6 points or less that year. It was brutal. We lost in overtime to Auburn. We lost on a 80-yard kick by Florida State down there in a game that we dominated. It was just brutal, the losses that we had. But yet, I could see the seeds kind of taking root, as far as because you gotta fail too. You have to fail to grow, and that's just the reality of life. If everything's just great all the time, you ain't gonna grow. You're gonna get complacent and content and fat and happy. You gotta fail, and you can't be afraid of that. And we had some failure that year. But the foundation was taking root, year 2 of what year 2.5 of what we were trying to do with the culture of this program. And that's when I knew. I said, you know what? We even though we didn't have a great year this year, we got a chance to be special. I told Terry Don that after the season. I said, man, I'm telling you, we are heading in the right direction right here. And, I got to get some guys in here. We kind of a little transition, and then that year kind of gave me the opportunity to kind of go in the direction that I really wanted to go in from a program standpoint. Obviously it was a different scenario that I got the job, and as an interim, and I wasn't going to let all those people go. Just wasn't going to do it, and everybody's contract was up March 1. And, Coach, I was definitely going to make a change on D coordinator. But Vic had a 2-year contract. Everybody else was done in March 1. And so, I did what I thought was right. And kept everybody and tried to make it all work. And got everybody 2-year contracts. And, see how it goes here for a year. Well, we win the division and we go to the championship. So it was kind of that time. Okay, well, it's a good time to kind of transition the staff a little bit as well. And it wasn't a negative thing. It was an amicable thing. Everybody I think was better and in better situation than where we started, and so allowed me to kind of, like I said, just continue to grow as a head coach and what I wanted to do, and we've just kind of been building one year at a time, one game at a time, one success at a time, one adversity at a time, and we built a good program, and I'm really proud of what we've done over 7 years. We haven't been perfect. We still got some things we got to get done, but I think that we have become a model of consistency in college football, and that was really my goal. Not just on the field. 5 of our 6 years we've been top 10 academically. That we have discipline in our program, consistent. We're not a perfect program. We got young people too that make mistakes, but just the consequences, the discipline, the growth, the NFL development, that's always important. But probably the biggest thing is 120 seniors and 114 graduates over that time frame. Because that's our number one goal in our program, is to graduate our players, period. And so, we've stuck. We laid the vision out in 2009, and we've lived by that. And every decision that we make has been based on how we fulfill the vision of the program, and we've not varied from that at all. We've not tried to take shortcuts. We've tried to recruit the right kind of guys, and from time to time you make a mistake, but and then surround yourself with the right kind of people. But you got to give a lot of credit to the administration too, because wasn't easy in the beginning. A lot of hurdles, a lot of struggles, and would not want to do it again. But finally, they kind of bought in and have allowed me to be me, first of all, and allowed me to build an infrastructure that I really felt like we needed from day one to get the program to another level. So you got to give them a lot of credit too for buying into what some people thought was a little outside the box early on.
Dabo, you mentioned when you took over the job, there were so many questions about you. You'd never been a coordinator, never been a head coach, and now 7 years later, undefeated, top 5 team, but you still have to answer questions that you don't feel like you have to answer. Do you think that you get the respect for what you've done now 7 years later?
I'm really not worried about me. All I care about is my team. I got this job. I was 38 years old. So, I was in line to be the coordinator at Alabama at 30, and we get fired, and 8 months later, we're all fired. And I'm out of coaching for 2 years, and I come to Clemson, and I'm starting over at 33. And only reason I was going to leave here, only reason I stayed at Clemson is because I knew that I was in line to be the coordinator here. But I could have left here. I couldn't. And that's what I tell people all the time. So many people, they chase titles. They take bad jobs so they can have this title or whatever, and it's really not about that. It's about being great where you are. It's about blooming where you're playing, and just do a great job where you are. And I was never that guy. I'd probably still be at Alabama. I just was never that guy looking for the next job, ever. I just loved my job and loved doing what I was doing and tried to be the best that I could possibly be. And then the rest of that stuff just kind of happens. And when I came to Clemson, my mentality was the same thing. I had opportunities to leave Clemson. It's not one of those things I go out and put in the papers so people can talk about it. But I'm a loyal guy. I had great respect for Tommy Bowden and the opportunity that he gave me to come and coach here, and then the professional growth that he gave me here. I had a chance to go join Coach Saban's staff as a passing game coordinator in 2007 when he got the job. And I didn't go. And the reason I didn't go is because of the conversations I'd had with Tommy Bowden, a year before, 6 months before. And I knew where I was on this staff. And so, I felt like staying at Clemson was the best thing for me. And then, it just right place at the right time. And again, if I was so concerned about a title and chasing a title, I wouldn't have been here and had the opportunity that I had. And that's always a lesson that I try to tell people, especially young coaches. Don't get so caught up. The grass ain't always greener. You might have a title, but you might stink. You better make sure you're at a good place with good people, and just do a great job, and the rest of that stuff will come. But for me, all of a sudden I'm 38 years old and I get a chance to be a head coach. So my path has been a little different. Urban Meyer was never a coordinator. He was the receiver coach. I tried to get his job. He was just the receiver coach his whole career. He'd never been a coordinator, but he got the Bowling Green job. And the year that we got fired at Alabama, and I tried to get his job. Couldn't get Coach Davies to call me back or Coach Stallings back, and I couldn't get his job. And I'm glad I didn't, because they got fired the next year, and I'd have been stuck in Indiana. God has a plan and He works those things out. So I could really, honestly, I've never been driven by what other people may think about me. I'm just not driven that way. But I am driven by what people think about our program and what people think about our team and the type of young men that we have in our program. That I'm driven by that. I'm passionate about the brand that we have at Clemson. I'm passionate about being the best. I'm passionate about winning, the national championship at Clemson. And we've been working toward that, and hopefully one of these days that'll happen. And if we stay the path, it will.
What's your best explanation then for why Clemson is having to answer for stuff that happened years ago, where other teams are doing it much more recently and they're not? What's your?
I think it's an agenda. It's just bias. It's just people uneducated, ignorant. They've got their own. They don't do their homework, because if they did, they would know that since the last time we lost to an unranked team, and I can thank Tim Beret for this. 2011. There have been 50 different ranked teams. Programs, not ranked teams. 50 different schools that were ranked who lost to an unranked team 112 times since 2011, which was the last time that we lost to anybody unranked. But yet I got to come into a press conference and I got to be asked about in 2015. And now that's a lack of respect for our program. There's not a single guy on this entire roster. They don't even know what they're talking about. There's not one guy on this entire roster who's ever lost a game to anybody that wasn't a ranked program or a program that didn't finish in the top 10. Our guys show up and they compete their butts off. And, they've then it's like, again, it's like people are out there they want us to lose so they can, say, well, we're way beyond that. And for people to not recognize that, then, again, they just have their own agenda. And they're just ignorant and lazy because they're not looking at the facts. Because if they did, they'd be focused on other schools and not Clemson. They'd be dialed in on what Clemson has done. There's not 3 other schools in the country as consistent as Clemson, and in all aspects. 5 of 6 top 10 academically since I've been the head coach. Top 10. All right, 91% of my seniors have have degrees. So that's the things that motivate me. Because that's what matters.
Coach, going back to Saturday's game real quick, tell us all the time how well Nick Schuessler does in practice. How big was that long drive at the end of the game? Those couple of big completions for his confidence just from the game performance.
Yeah, that was great. We got the ball with 8 minutes and 50 seconds on the goal line, and we took 8 minutes and 30 seconds off the clock with our twos, and I think 3 big third downs and a couple of big plays. It was just huge. They got the ball with 20 seconds. That to me was a thing of beauty, to see our backups go out there and be able to just completely go from goal line to goal line and end the game. Just great execution, and great job by our guys up front too.
Florida's quarterback gets docked a year for taking, I guess, an over-counter supplement. What's your policy? How do you handle educating your players?
Well, they all know. Everybody knows, and it was a great opportunity yesterday to just revisit that with our team. Everybody knows that if you're taking, our nutritionists, everybody, our strength, everybody, it's a consistent message. If you're going to take something, even if it's over the counter, you have to get it approved. Because if the NCAA, you pop a test on the NCAA, you're out. That's just the way it is. So, you play by the rules. And if you don't, then you're going to be held accountable, regardless of what your intent was or whatever. So, that's just the way it is. But, we do everything we can to make these guys aware and make sure they understand that they're accountable for what they put in their body. That's just the way it is.
I know Mike Williams had his checkup last week. What kind of feedback did he
It was really good. I think everything is just really, really positive with Mike Williams. He's doing great. I think they're talking about in another few weeks maybe putting him in a soft cast instead of the hard one that he's got. But he's doing very well. I'm just tickled to death that like I said, he's going to be just fine. I, as I've said, I don't have any expectation for him to play this year. Be great, but that's the least of my concern, and I have no expectation for that whatsoever. The thing that I'm happy about is he's going to play next year, for sure. I mean, he's going to be just fine, and his football career is very, very bright.
So has he already said that he'll be back here next year?
No. I mean, I don't know if he'll be back. I hope he's back here next year. He's not said anything that he wouldn't be, but if he decides to move on, I mean, and play on the next level, and that's certainly an option that he could have. But the good thing is he's going to be able to play some football, whether he's at Clemson or somewhere else. His career is very, very bright and far from over.
You obviously were optimistic about what Hunter Renfro could give you eventually. Are you at all surprised at how he's been able to work his way up?
No, not at all. I know y'all think we're crazy sometimes when we tell y'all stuff. I mean, but we're at practice every day, and we watch them every day, and y'all might see a snippet here and there every now and then, but no, not surprised at all. I mean, Hunter can play. I mean, he is. If he was the size he is now, he'd have had everybody recruiting him out of high school. I mean, he had a lot of offers coming out of high school. He just was so small. It's not in height, but just he was 150-something pounds. And, now he's 175 pounds. He's stronger, and he's still just a freshman. I mean, he's just going to get better. But he is fast and explosive and, just a very instinctive football player, great change of direction and excellent ball skills. And he's our backup punter, too. Don't forget about that. Hadn't had a chance to get him out there yet, but I keep forgetting about him. I got to get him out there sometime to get him a punt. But he's just a good football player, and we're really fortunate to have him. He is a legit Division I scholarship wide receiver. There's no question about it. And, every now and then you get lucky. And when I say lucky, we knew he was very talented. And so we offered him an opportunity to come in here, and he was going to have to turn down some offers, and he was confident enough that he could come do it. And within a year, he earned himself a scholarship.
Who made that identification, said this guy can play, or was it?
Well, that's his coaches. I mean, I've known his dad for a long time. I recruited the PD in Myrtle Beach and Socastee and all that area down there when his dad was the head coach there, and his dad's AD now. So we've known about Hunter for a long time, and Coach Pearman's had that area, and he would come back and say, "Man, I'm telling you, this kid can move, man." And so he just watched the tape, and Jeff looked at him. He's like, "God, this guy would be a premium guy. You get a chance to get a guy like this in your program." And he was a great student, and had a chance to maybe get some academic help out of the gate. So we brought him in on an official visit and kind of laid out the plan, and nothing guaranteed. You got to go earn it, and that's what he did. So he's worked his tail off to he played everything in high school, and he really wasn't a guy that spent a lot of time in the weight room. So we put him in Power Hour last year, and he's one of those guys that is going to go above and beyond, and his body's responded, and he's got good length to him. You saw that the other day when his ability to go up. I think he had the fastest shuttle time on our team in the off season. He's just got some explosiveness to him, great leaping ability, and just outstanding. He played quarterback too, so I mean, just outstanding ball skills. And that was you saw that in the Shrine Bowl too. I mean, when he went to the Shrine Bowl, just the feedback that we got from all the the people that were up there watching practice every day was, man, this guy's he's a great player. He's just one of those guys you look at him and you just like, you know, like I said, he looks like, you know, a chemist or something. No offense to a chemist. I don't need any emails from the chemist. But he just doesn't look like, you know, but you put him between the lines and, man, he's a player. So he's got a bright future for us.
Is Dion past Trevion?
No, those guys are just battling, competing, and Travion's doing great, and Dion's doing great, and just going to continue to. Dion's still got to clean up some things. You know, you can't just play with the ball. I mean, there's a lot of things you got to do without the ball, and you know, both those guys are just doing great, and again, both of them have bright futures, and you know, not just in the years to come, but this year, and you know, pleased with the development. Of those guys, you know, those four freshmen, you know, Renfro and Travion and Ray and Dion. I mean, that's four guys that you know are going to continue to impact this team this year. But you know, going to allow us to continue to be you know, wide receiver U, as they say.
Thank you very much, Coach.
All right, guys.